Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Attracting Your Life. I hope you guys had a great week. I know I did. The weather has been kind of iffy, bipolar here in Chicago. Only in Chicago can you have like 4 different seasons in one day. So it's pretty great if that's what you like. But I'm really ready for the spring. I hope you guys are enjoying your time and you had an awesome week. Last week, we talked to my dear friend Ray Hickman about intimacy and his views about non-traditional Christian beliefs and embracing the philosophy of loving yourself and embracing that personal relationship that you will have with God's source energy. And so tonight, we'll be talking about the beautiful modality called Tantra. I'm really excited about this conversation. This is an adult conversation, so children should be out of listening area. So they should be out of the room. So what is Tantra? Tantra is a Sanskrit word, and Sanskrit is the oldest language. It's a Hindu-based language, but it's they're saying it's one of the oldest language. And Tantra actually means loom, weaving, groundwork. The tan part is basically stretching, but that's what the word really means. So in Tantra, there are 2 basic methods. There's the Buddhist method, or the right hand, and the Hindu method, which is also referred to the left hand. And it involves a personal type of practice of sexual activity to basically connect you with God's source energy. And through connecting through meditation and through connecting with a loved one, you connect to one as with God. Some of the drawbacks is that some people just think about eating the dessert, which they think that's the main course, which is just sex. But actually, the whole emphasis of Tantra is to really start with meditation, which once again, it leads you to connection with God's source energy. I find Tantra to be a very beautiful modality, and it's wonderful when you can share it with someone, or you can do it on your own. It's all about the energy that starts with Kundalini energy, which also is a Sanskrit word, which means coiled. And the coiled one kind of starts at the lower part of your spine in the back. And I'm really kind of just talking about definitions, just in case some of these words come up during our conversation with our guests today. And so Kundalini is the coiled one, which starts with the energy at the base of your spine. And yoga is supposed to help bringing that energy up. The figure is usually viewed as a coiled female serpent, a serpent goddess. Not a gross or evil one, but it's just thought to be in slumber state at the base of the spine until it ignited. So once this beautiful ignitement, so to speak, starts, the energy can flow up through the spine and flow up so it can be something that you can connect with God's source energy. One of the things that I really like about Tantra is this love story, and I kind of want to share it with you. And it's a love story between Shiva and Shikta, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing these words incorrectly, and Shikta is viewed as the serpent that I was referencing earlier with the Kundalini energy. And the poem goes like this: She rises to meet him, for he has been awaiting her. In their hearts, both know that they have never been separated. They are an indifferent unity. They are one. They are Shiva and Shikta, the divine masculine and the divine feminine, the main actors in tantric philosophy. The 2 lovers understand the true reason that the spirit bodies of the chakra are embodied within human beings. Like stepping stones to heaven, it is to enable them to reunite again and again to make you one with God's source energy. That poem kind of sums it up of what Tantra is really all about. But I would like to introduce you to a new friend of mine. I had the pleasure of reaching out to David Joyner, who's an actor, producer, and he is also a Tantra massage specialist and a spiritual healer. He began his studies at the tender age of 20. He has studied under many great Tantra masters in other countries. He specifically practiced White Lotus Tantra, which is a Buddhist focus more on the spiritual aspect of the person. Welcome, David Joyner, to our show. David?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, how you doing today?
I am absolutely fantastic. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I didn't get to go outside too much.
Can I just clarify one thing?
Of course.
Shiva and Shakti.
Yes, I know. I'm terrible at pronouncing words. I am. I think I did it in my first show. I told everybody English is not my first language, but I still have problems pronouncing and putting words together. So forgive me, and thank you for clarifying. I really appreciate that.
I totally understand. I totally understand.
That's why you're the expert. You're the master.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Well, thank you so much for coming to the show. I really appreciate you taking this offer so you can be part of this with me so we can kind of teach the listeners and about Tantra and the beauty of this modality. So tell me, how did you start getting into Tantra in the first place at 20 years old? Who thinks about that at 20? Gosh.
Well, before I was 20, when I was a kid, my grandmother used to always tell me that I had a gift of healing and to always nurture that gift. And there's some Native American lineage on my family and my grandmother's side. And my grandmother had 5 boys, my father, and then my uncles. And so I was raised understanding how to honor and respect female because I saw how my dad and my uncles treated my grandmother, and then also how my dad treated my mom and my uncles treated their wives. So they held the women of the family to high regard, which was a beautiful thing to be around. Now, of course, myself growing up as an athlete, as a jock, I was always around a lot of females, and I loved giving massages. Absolutely loved it. But not only that, I loved being around feminine energy. And of course, I tell people that, I used to sneak girls into my basement in the house. That's a different story. And sometimes we would just sit there and talk, or just caress, or massage, or touch. And when I was an infant, my mother used to do like a nerve stroke on my back, just really lightly touch my back. So any girl that I dated, they had to learn how to do that. And of course, to teach them how to do that, I had to show them how to do it. So I always had this love for feminine skin, energy, and the whole nine. And of course, also growing up, my nickname was Preacher. A lot of times people would come to me.
You said Preacher?
Preacher.
Oh, okay.
Preacher. A lot of times people would come to me and share certain things that they were going through. And a lot of times without them even telling me what was going on, I would pretty much hear and know what's going on. So I've always had a spiritual connection.
You were like kind of empath of feeling these people?
Yes, so to speak. And then again, my gift also was being able to read energy, to just kind of see what's going on and read that person's energy. So not knowing where all this was going to end up, when I went to school for electronic engineering technology, I thought, okay, let me also go to school for massage therapy. And I thought it would be great to learn how to give massages also.
Okay, so David, I really want to understand how a person who has a nickname Preacher is into massages. But right now we're going to go on a commercial break, and we'll be back to hear more about that. Once again, you're listening to Attracting Your Life. I'm your host, Maija, and we're coming to you live from BBM Global Network. Welcome back, everyone. Once again, you're listening to Attracting Your Life. I'm your host, Maija, and we're coming to you live from BBM Global Network. Before the break, we were talking about massages, and we were talking about how you kind of fell into massages, David, even though your nickname was Preacher. So how's that going? So you said you like giving massages and you like receiving. So you had to teach your friends how to give you a massage. I like that concept.
Exactly. And so also with the concept of understanding how energy flows, which I didn't know at times. So as I was going to school for electronic engineering technology, at a particular time, we were studying energy. And I was dating a young lady who was going to school for psychology, and she was majoring in female trauma. And they came in and did a course study on Tantra. So what they were trying to help them understand is you can help them one psychologically, but that emotionally blocked energy is still lying dormant in their system. And it's important to be able to remove that energy. And the best way to remove that energy is to remove it with love. So at the time, I was also going to school and studying massage therapy because I figured that would be a great way to make some extra income. And so I decided one night I was going to give her this mind-blowing massage. And as I was massaging her, I was also meditating as I was touching, because I'm always connected spiritually. Whenever I do something, I'm always asking God to lead me first. And so as I was massaging her feet and her Achilles and her ankles and her calves, she started moaning and she started becoming aroused. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? And so as I continued to massage, she became more aroused and more aroused. And so after a beautiful massage, I'll just put it like that, we started talking afterwards. And so she had asked me, had I been reading her Tantra books? And of course, my response was, Tantra? What the heck is Tantra? And so we went and got one of her books and started thumbing through it. And so as we were thumbing through it, I was like, oh my gosh, you mean that's what I was doing? That's what I was doing? I had no idea. And so she looked at me and she said, you need to study Tantra. You're going to be great at this. And so after that, I just started finding any and everything that I could on Tantra. Of course, this was in the 80s, 83 to be exact, in Indianapolis, Indiana. There wasn't a lot that I could find on Tantra, but I found as much as I could, courses. And of course, one of the main things about Tantra is practice and learning how energy works. And of course, no one has the same type of energy energy on any given moment. Our energy changes. And just like if you're intimate with someone today, the energy of that person is going to be different the following day. And it's important to be able to read that energy and understand that energy. So there's a lot of exercises that I've learned to be able to do that through Tantra.
And, also, once you do connect with a person sexually, you carry that person's energy, and
Exactly.
It's something that a lot of, especially young girls, don't understand. So many, I'll admit, I used to be that way too. They go crazy after they start dating a person for a while. And really, I think it has a lot to do, I've never done any scientific study on this. It's about them receiving this energy that they can't handle. And
exactly.
And it's unbalanced. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. One of the things that you tapped on earlier about the Kundalini energy and how that energy rises in our system. Well, the other thing about the Kundalini energy, if you're not careful when that energy rises, it can almost create a virus inside of our system, almost like catching a cold. And if we have emotionally blocked energy lying dormant in our system and the Kundalini energy starts rising, it can connect that. So a lot of times, if we've had relationships that have been toxic, or if we've had situations that have taken advantage of our sexual energy. And when I say sexual energy, I don't necessarily mean just sex, because our sexual energy is also considered our life energy and our light energy. And that's the energy that also gives us love. So our light, our life, and loving aspect of our sexual energy always moves inside of us. And as that energy starts rising, then we put it to conscious thought. Then we understand how spirit is involved. So it's spirit, mind, and body. So the spirit, if we allow the spirit to constantly lead us, and then we allow our thought to be conceptually understanding what's going on, then the body's basically along for the ride. So if someone not understanding that, you are now allowing other spirit and other energy to infiltrate your harmonious system. So now that spirit and energy is lying dormant inside of you. And sometimes you just don't know it's there. A lot of times women, they attract the same type of guy over and over and over again. And they're wondering, why am I getting in the same type of relationship? Well, the beautiful thing about energy is it never dies. And it's constantly moving, and it's attracting light energy. So if you've got some emotionally blocked energy, it's going to attract that same emotionally blocked energy that you've been used to dealing with. And the beautiful thing about the energy is when it recognizes light energy, it goes, hey, come on, let's celebrate, let's party.
Let's party. Yes. And that's why it's almost important that sometimes, and most women especially may not understand this at a young age, that you have to take the time to cleanse yourself and heal. And I will never forget, in Chicago, we have, I can't remember, Louis Farrakhan. And I was dating some guy, and he was like, you got to come. And he said something that was so profound. I will never forget this. But this talks about the energy that you're talking about. He said, women are like a chemistry lab. They have all these different chemicals and the beautiful test tubes. And when a gentleman who's not really confident about themselves and they really don't understand what they're in, this beautiful lab, they mix these solutions and they could cause explosion. And instead of sitting there cleaning up the lab, they just run out. And so now this woman is damaged. And here comes another chemist and another chemist and another chemist damaging her. And so she damages other people. But when we come back, we're going to talk more about this energy. And I definitely want to go into why you call women goddesses. So, I really like that concept. So thank you again for everyone listening. We're going to go on a commercial break. My name is Maija, and you're listening to Attracting Your Life Radio. Welcome back, everyone. This is Attracting Your Life. I'm your host, Maija. And once again, we're coming to you live from BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. And before the commercial break, I asked David to kind of explain to us, why does he call women goddesses? So can you explain that?
Absolutely. Well, basically what you were talking about earlier with Shiva and Shakti energy, lingam, yoni. So women...
Explain. Can you please give that explanation of the definition of those words?
Of lingam and yoni?
Yes.
The lingam in Sanskrit for penis, and it is the magical wand of light. The yoni, Sanskrit for vagina, which is the garden of love, the flower, where life exists, the beginning, the source. So when you think about that, you have to always think about, from a male's point of view, and this is what we were taught in Tantra, and it's also something that can resonate through whatever you do in life. You have to understand that a woman's energy, not just her sexual energy, but her energy is the greatest energy in the cosmic universe, and therefore she should be considered a goddess. Now, because women have been given the ability and the responsibility to bear life, holds their energy at a higher esteem than males. Men, we can plant the seed and move on and plant another seed. Yes. Women, they now have to germinate that seed, nurture that seed. That seed now has has to resonate within them for 9 months. Now, what we also have to understand is that is a spirit, that is a being born and being nurtured for 9 months before it is now coming into the world. And not just a physical being comes into the world, but a spirit comes into the world. So therefore, this goddess energy has been holding this spirit inside of her for 9 months. Now, granted, even if a woman doesn't have children, because your energy, your sexual energy is that greatest cosmos, then therefore your energy is goddess energy. And the more that women understand that your energy is supreme as a goddess, the more you will walk, talk, live, smell, breathe that knowledge. And the more you're able to do that, then you're able to own that goddess energy, own your goddess face, own your goddess power. Then it's all about knowing your worth, knowing your value. So then it's up to you to decide whether or not you're going to share this power with someone else and not allow them to take advantage or take this power away from you.
That is so important, especially for our young girls. Now, we got to figure out how we can put that into like a popular rap song so people can listen to that, because it's so demoralizing. Some of the music that are out here in the hip hop culture, or really in all cultures, they demoralize women and just degrade them in such a way that they have lost their value. And if they're not, if they're coming from a broken home, or if they, they may have had abuse, or it's like a slippery slope all the way going down. So I really appreciate you expressing that to the listeners for us to really understand and to really own who we are as women. So
yeah, I mean, like my mission statement says, on my website, connecting your mind, body, and spirit together as one.
And what is that website?
TantraHarmony.com.
TantraHarmony.com. So if you're interested to learn more about David and his services, you did tell me that you're not taking any new clients. So, but still check out his website, you guys. You'll learn a lot about it. And and that is important.
Right. And one of the reasons I did the website was not for clients, but for knowledge. And anyone who's able to really understand and want to take the mantle and try and learn some of the techniques of a Tantra massage, this is a great place to go to look, understand what the steps are, and then even practice it with your lovers, practice it and understand what it's all about. But the very first thing you have to do is meditate, meditate. Invoke God's divine spirit. Because when you're touching someone, you want to touch them with a touch of love, that divine spirit. Now, what people also to understand is that the foundation of Tantra is love. Everything grows, stems, and heals from love. And if you embody that love to a degree to where it's like putting a glass underneath the faucet and turning the faucet on, imagine God's divine love is that water flowing through that faucet and your system is that glass. You want that love to not only fill you up, but to overflow constantly so that you have an abundance to share and you want to share. You're more than willing to share because you're like, oh, hey, I got enough for both of us. Come on and join this party.
Right. And you can't
not only do you go ahead.
Go ahead. And you can't be taken advantage if you're constantly connected to the flow of God's love flowing to you. I love that visualization that you just did, because I always add the fact that there's a saucer under that cup that's catching it. And I tell women all the time, it's not for you to give what's inside your cup, but it's to give what's in the saucer that falls over, because you constantly need to fill yourself up, not from and to give, not from your cup, but from the overflow. But that means that you have to stay connected.
Exactly.
You have to stay connected. I like that. That's very beautiful. One thing that you put on your website, you talk about this meditation that you kind of do prior to meeting a client. And I thought that was a beautiful concept. Can you kind of go through that meditation?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and number one, you want to make sure you're in harmony with the universe, God's divine energy. And then you also want to make sure you're able to connect with the person that you're going to be working with. So what I do, even before I do a session with someone, is I will have a consultation with them and I will meditate on them and I'll meditate on their behalf. Sometimes I'll just take a photograph and look into the eyes and just really connect, because going further into the eyes, because the eyes are the windows of the soul, you're really able to connect on a deeper level, on a spiritual level. So you don't necessarily have to be in front of the person physically to connect with them. So then once you are in front of that person physically, you've already connected. You've already had this spiritual embrace.
So when we come back, I want to talk. Wait, I'm sorry, David. When we come back, we're going to go to a commercial. I want to talk about this meditation and how we can even do it when we already know someone, like a lover. How do we make that into a daily practice? So once again, you're listening to Attracting Your Life Radio. I'm your host, Maija, and we're going to go into a commercial break. But when we come back, we're going to try this practice so you can do something at home or or with your husband or your mate. Welcome back, everyone. This is Attracting Your Life, and I'm your host, Maisha, and we're coming to you live from BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. And before the commercial, we were talking about a meditation that David does before he meets a client in person. And I was saying that this is a great exercise to do with your mate. So if you know that you're going to have a date, or, you guys both have been at work all day, while you're on the train or while you're driving, well, probably not while you're driving, but while you're on the train or you're sitting at home waiting for your mate to come through the door, actually close your eyes and meditate over them. Like think of their physical features, think of their lips, think of their hands and touching you and getting prepared for an excitement and getting yourself basically rising that Kundalini energy inside of you. You're getting yourself excited, waiting, ladies, for your mate or your couple to come home or getting ready for that date. And then when you do finally see each other, the first thing to do is to lock eyes to each other. And as David said, your eyes are the window to the soul. And almost feeling the energy that's coming through both of you. You almost kind of feel like heat between, I know I do. I feel heat when I do see my mate in front of me after I've done this type of meditation. Would you add anything to that, David?
Yeah, and then another beautiful thing too is as you're looking into the eyes, because our body also has a negative to positive polarity, we pull in energy from our left and we radiate the energy from our right. So if you take your left hand and put your left hand on that person's heart, and you take their left hand and you place it on your heart, then you take your right hand and you place it up on that person's left hand. So literally your left hand's on their heart, their left hand's on your heart. Your right hand is basically on top of their hand on your heart, and vice versa. So now what you're doing is you're looking into each other's eyes. You're also pulling that loving energy from each other's heart. So that loving energy is now coming through the left hand, through your body, your conscious thought, your meditation, your mind, your psyche, everything about you, and now flowing out of your right hand and going back into that person's left hand. And not only is it going back into their left hand, it's also going back inside your heart. So now you have this ebb and flow of loving energy that's formulating around you two, and it's binding. And it doesn't take long to do it. It could take a good 2, 3, 4 minutes. You just take that time and say, I appreciate you. I honor you. I respect you, not only for who you are being with me, but for who you are as a spiritual being. Now, the biggest part about all this is it has to start with self first. So even before you go into meditating on someone, meditate on yourself first. Clean yourself up, because you don't want to bring your minutia into someone else's space. So you want to have yourself clean, free to go, okay, now I'm going to come into this person's space, honoring them for my true core value, not because of the heavy day that I had at work or everything that's going on. Granted, sometimes in relationships, yes, you bring that in with you. But there are times when you can say, you know what, this is all going to be dedicated to the person I love, the person I'm with. So therefore, you can now celebrate that energy together. And there's also another exercise that I love to tell couples to do. I call it the breath of life exercise.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So as you're looking into each other's eyes, you put your lips maybe a quarter of an inch apart. And just like a person does CPR on a person, when you breathe out, that person breathes in your air. When they breathe out, you breathe in their air. Now, one of the things I say to do is maybe kiss in between the breaths, so that way you can stay in time with each other. And so what that will do is it'll start bringing up your energy together, and your energy will start to rise, and you'll feel this arousing energy rising, but it won't stop at your physical region, your lower chakras. It'll continue to rise and go into the heart chakra, above the heart chakra into the throat chakra, and even above to the third eye and the crown chakra. So now you're elevating each other's energy together, and that's called the breath of life.
And
that is a beautiful one.
That is beautiful. I do something similar to that, but I call it orbit kiss, where you actually, it's mostly sometimes that you can do it during the act, where you breathe into your mate, and actually you feel the energy orbiting through you as you guys are connected in the act. And so it's almost like an orbit of energy going to you, receiving, going out of you. And actually that feels very strongly too. But these things don't take a long time. I mean, this is something that can be done. Like, I love the meditation with the the hand and the heart and the kissing that you were just talking about. It takes probably about 5, 10, 15 minutes, but it's a wonderful way for couples to get connected quickly before they have to start dealing with kids and talking about bills or whatever. It's just a way to get real connected. And so many times we lose ourselves with every day, with work, and we find ourselves stagnant in a relationship. So these are great tools to get reconnected in a relationship real quick.
Definitely. A lot of times when we are involved sexually and our arousal starts to elevate, sometimes it can cause premature ejaculation. Or, of course, people have read and heard people talk about when people practice Tantra, they have 2-3 hours long sex sessions. Well, there's more to that than just physical penetration, of course. But also, you learn how to control the energy in the lingam, and you learn how to control the energy in the yoni, sometimes just by practicing and flexing your PC muscles. And that's that muscle that sits between your scrotum and your anus, or your vagina and your anus. And it's about just squeezing that muscle. And a great technique to know what you're doing correctly for men is when you're using the restroom, when you're peeing, when you're urinating, squeeze it off and stop it and let it flow.
Same goes with women.
Squeeze it off and stop it.
Yeah, same goes with women.
You'll know, okay, that's the technique I need to do. And when you're just sitting in the car, just talking to someone or out to dinner, I'm doing it right now. And so what happens is you learn how to feel what it feels like as that energy starts rising. So when the yoni and the lingam meet, there's this exchange of energy and loving energy. And it's not just about flesh pounding each other. It's about the beautiful melodic symphony that takes place. And you're weaving that energy, again, terminology weaving. You're weaving that energy into each other, allowing your energies to rise together.
That is beautiful. I love that. For ladies, you've heard Kegel exercises. This is what we're talking about right here. But we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about this bathing ritual that you kind of talk about on your website. Once again, you're listening to Attracting Your Life. I'm your host, Maija, and we're coming to you live from BBM Global Network. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. This is Attracting Your Life. I'm your host, Maija, and we're coming to you live from BBM Global Network. And before the break, we were talking, and I asked David to talk about this bathing ritual. Now, I've done full moon goddess baths before, but the way you kind of talked, how you described the bathing ritual, I kind of wanted to kind of share that with the listeners. So if you don't mind explaining that ritual.
Right. In ancient times, goddesses were bathed by their servants and their lovers, and they were bathed out of honor and respect, not just to cleanse their body, but to show appreciation for who they were as goddesses and that goddess energy. So in my bathing ceremonies, I try to emulate that same type of practice. So, of course, the first thing is through meditation and trying to invoke the spirit as much as I can so that I'm led as to what I'm doing. And the energy flow is also a flow of energy and love. So then the touch is about love. As you sit in the tub and the bubbles are there and I have beautiful music playing and candles, I'll start bathing, starting at the feet. And I'll start it at the left foot and then go to the right foot. And again, that's because of the negative positive polarity. And then, of course, the fact that when you honor the feet, you're honoring the foundation upon which someone stands on Mother Earth. So if you can imagine, you're standing on Mother Earth, you're being guided spiritually by Father God, and you're basically the core, the center. And you want that energy to be able to flow up and down constantly. So as I'm bathing, nothing is forgotten. You bathe every part of the anatomy, and not only are you bathing the body, you're also bathing the spirit. And you want the person to be consciously aware of everything that's going on so that you're also bathing the mind. So as I'm just washing, let's say, the pinky toe, your body will start feeling exactly what that pinky toe is feeling. So everything is starting now to just flow through you. So it's like this full body experience that's taking place. And then as the water is flickering and filtering, and then I go to the legs and start bathing the ankles, the knees, the calf. Not only is the leg feeling that energy, but your mind's feeling it. Your back is feeling it also. It's becoming this very soothing, loving effect of being bathed.
And that's a beautiful thing. And I love the way you said that it's a form of honor to the goddess. And really that's what it's all about, honoring that spirit honoring that soul that is going to be connected. And I like that, how you describe it. So what
and
about
something else too,
go
sorry
ahead.
to interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times someone has never truly really been bathed just to be bathed. Sometimes
Yes.
couples take baths together or showers together, but sometimes it's okay. It's because it's going to lead to a sexual activity or something that's going to embrace them sexually. But just imagine just bathing someone that's not going to lead to anything else, but you just bathing them. And then the same thing can go for women bathing a man. Just bathe.
Yes.
Show that honor and respect for that person, that I'm not only just helping you, I'm also cleansing you. It's a beautiful thing.
Actually, I tell some clients that get in the tub, because something with the water that helps with meditation. And that's a beautiful thing too, just to get in the water and get prepared and cleansing your mind, cleansing your body. It opens you up during your meditation time in the tub to manifest and to see things in a different light. The water is such a powerful thing. It's so powerful. So yeah, and it's a point for someone to love on you and bathe you. It's a beautiful, intimate act. So tell me more about you're so vivid. I mean, gosh. Anyway, I love how you're answering these questions. What does chakra balancing have to do with Tantra?
Okay. If you can imagine a line going
I can
through your
imagine
body.
everything. I mean, you're very vivid with your description, so you don't have to say, can you imagine?
Well,
I
you.
can imagine, okay? So go ahead.
All right, so visualize this beautiful white light coming from above, coming down from the top of your head, flowing through your body, out the soles of your feet. And now visualize that light energy as it flows out the soles of your feet like branches of a tree, stretching out deep and stretching out wide, okay? Now, the root chakra that sits at the base of the spine where the Kundalini energy resonates, we want to imagine as that line, that beam of light flowing through our body, we want to imagine every energy point, the 7 main chakric energy wheels in our system. In Tantra, I consider 8 because I also consider the yoni and the lingam part of the tantric wheel. I'm sorry, the chakric wheel. And of course, there's many more than that. And when you go above the crown, there's many more that goes up. So just let's stick to the basics, the 7. So now imagine each area starting at the base, the root chakra, going up to the sacral chakra, which sits 2 inches below the navel, then going to the solar plexus, which is right below our rib cage, the heart chakra, which is the center of our core, and then our throat chakra, our third eye, and our crown chakra. And of course, I left out the yoni and the lingam on purpose. So now just imagine each one of those points in our body has a circle and a color that's rotating a beautiful energy wheel going through our system. Now, if any of those things are not in line with that beautiful white light flowing through us, so now that energy is trying to move up, and now it's got to go over a little bit to the left, and okay, got to go to the right, and no, got to go back over here. Okay, got something blocking me. Oh, wait a minute, got a roadblock. Let me turn around, make a U-turn. Oh, okay, all right, I see some light. Okay, let me get to it. Oh, something else is there. Okay. All right, then you finally get there and you're like, oh my gosh. So what I do before I do any type of massage is I balance the chakras. Because once the chakras are balanced, then the energy is able to flow freely, and it's able to flow with honor, respect, love, and reverence. So again, constantly meditating on those, constantly meditating on the touch. As I touch, I'm touching you with love. I'm touching you with peace. I'm touching you with honor. I'm touching you with reverence. So now the energy is now rising. So when the chakras are balanced, that energy that starts at the pinky toe is now able to go whoop up to the crown chakra. So then your body's like, oh my God, that's my pinky? Yes, that's your pinky toe that your hands are feeling, your eyes are feeling, and your mind is going, oh wow. Exactly.
That is great. That is great. I like that. I like the visualization. That was great. So we're going to go to a commercial break. And when we come back, I kind of want to close out with some closing thoughts. But once again, you're listening to Attracting Your Life. And I'm your host, Maija, and we're coming to you from BBM Global Network. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. This is Attracting Your Life, and I'm your host, Maija. And once again, we're coming to you from BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. And before the commercial break, we were talking about balancing the chakra, which you gave a beautiful visualization. Kind of took me there. I felt it. I understand it. It was great. In closing, this show was awesome. And David, you don't understand the education that you provided to me and the listeners was great. And I don't think we even touched the tip of the iceberg. You know, I'm going to try to get you back on the show because I think that we just need to talk more and more about this. But in closing, is there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners?
Absolutely. The most beautiful part about Tantra and understanding energy, and even if you don't study Tantra, learn to study energy and learn what your energy is about. And like we were talking today about sexual energy and Kundalini energy and that energy rising, the great thing about that energy is when you allow it to rise and go through the crown chakra, then it elevates everything in your world. Your perception becomes clear, your hearing, your communication, the things that you're devoted to, your passion, your desires, things around you, people around you, your job, all these things are now benefiting from this energy that's rising in your system. Because again, that is loving energy. And it's all about the love that we want to have inside and the love that we want to share. And the most beautiful part about sharing this love, it's universal. The more we put out, the more we're going to receive.
Right, right. And there's no such thing as somebody taking advantage of love, right? Because if you see yourself in someone else, you're basically giving love to yourself because we're all connected, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
that's the beautiful thing about this. And I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much for the information that you shared, your energy that you shared with all of us, and, you know, just teaching about this beautiful modality. I think that this is something that can be incorporated with every aspect of your life. And one thing that I want to share with our listeners today is that I'm giving a 15% discount to anyone who would like to do some energy work. And that's something that I do. I do energy cleansing. And so if you text the word attract, ATTRACT, to 25827, I'll get your information and we will reach out to you so you can have some energy work. It's so important to cleanse the energy, cleanse the chakra before you just kind of move into a spiritual relationship or getting yourself connected or getting rebalanced. All of that is very important. And as David has shared earlier today, energy, it never dies. It's here. So cleaning it is important because it's always expanding. Whatever is in your energy field is going to expand. So it's important to have that energy to be clear and ready to receive, ready to expand to new things and new horizons. A lot of people who tell me I'm having problems manifesting a job or manifesting even a relationship or a child, always start with the energy. What is the energy that you're carrying on a regular basis? So that's something that I'm offering today. Once again, if you text the word attract, ATTRACT, to 25827, you can get your discount. Once again, thank you so much for listening to Attracting Your Life Radio. I'm your host, Maija. It was a pleasure bringing David on. Thank you again, David. And next week, we'll talk about manifesting, creating things in your life. How do you manifest? So stay tuned. Have a great week, and we'll talk next week.